What determines how well we age? Is it physical activity, our diet, attitude, faith, money, community, or independence? Join us for an intimate look into the lives of some timeless people who are changing the way we think about wellness in aging. Do you know people who are really enjoying life? Are you one of them, or do you wish you were? What is their secret? And how do they make it happen and last? Taking Down the Fences will show you how.
Sometimes when I'm doing forest walks, people get widely separated. And so I call them back to a gathering circle, and I call them like this. I've been wandering in the land here, in this place, for 32 years, and I've been wandering in the land in various places for 80 years.
Recent studies have shown that forest bathing, also referred to as forest walking, has major health benefits. It brings a sense of peace and can be practiced at any age. Jim Drescher knew that a long time ago.
The work that we do here all together, and this is kind of crystallized within forest walking, is what I would call taking down the fences.
Taking down the fences can mean growing a garden to feed yourself and to feed your community. It's just one of the things that gives 83-year-old Bonita Church a sense of her vitality.
My age is the youthful age of 83, and I'm proud to be 83, and I look forward to be 93. I think your aging factor is in your thoughts, in your minds, how you accept it, and I feel if you think young, you're going to be young. Getting me into this age that I'm at is having a good social life, having good family support, wonderful children, wonderful grandchildren, and the friends that I've made are true friends, and I have many, many of them. A typical day for me is being very active and productive into daily events. I get up in the morning with the bright side of life. If I see the sunshine in the morning, that makes me feel better to be able to start my day off with doing the things like gardening, housekeeping, working with individuals that have handicap. I am still working, I've been working for 49 years. The other interest that I have is volunteering into the community with events that are done by our local organizations. It's a community effort that I like to be part of it. And I do volunteering at the church. And any other thing that people need help or would like support, I'll do it. The things that have kept me the same about my life as I've aged, it's having an attitude that accepts hurdles in your life that some people find it very difficult to deal with. Do lots of exercise. I have usually walked 2 hours every day, which is very productive, and I enjoy the outdoors. So you can see the scenery, you hear the birds singing, you can see the animals surrounding you, watching you, and as you're going, and your thoughts can go in the wind, and you don't have to worry about anybody interrupting you and asking you, why are you doing this? I'm doing it because it's beneficial to me, to give me more time to live and enjoy life.
Cleansing bliss, emptiness, moves my luminous mind.
For Benita, her 2-hour daily walk gives her exercise and peace of mind. Jim Drescher has studied these effects for decades. His term, taking down the fences, reflects practices of being in the forest to better one's physical and mental well-being.
And taking down the fences from a positive point of view would be opening to the possibility of connecting more deeply with the land. So this is interesting in that part of this work derives from Dr. Ching Li's work in Japan, forest bathing. And it's been extremely important work, particularly from a health or medical point of view. His work over several decades has really been around what's the effect on the body, both the physical body and the psychological body, of being in the forest. And he's isolated particular compounds that are exuded by trees that provide health to humans.
Good mental well-being can often be found by helping other people. Now in her 60s, Melanie Palse travels, performs, and constantly learns new skills to help others.
So I'm traveling across Canada. I've actually been across Canada before. However, I do have a friend from Newfoundland who mentioned to me in very strong words, if I have not been to Newfoundland, I have not been across Canada. So I'm going to Newfoundland. I'm going across Canada from Tofino to St. John's. Yay! One of the other things that I've found interest in is beading. So I have an African friend, South African actually, because that is my heritage, who taught me how to do African beading. So during my down time or my stressful time, I do beading. And what I thoroughly enjoy is costumes and makeup. So I got myself hooked up with the Vaudevillians in Surrey, British Columbia. We're a group of about, 16, 18 people. Most of them are older than me. I am one of the youngest. They're right into the ripe old age of 90, 92, 93, singing and dancing on stage. Also, one of the other things that really interested me was the stock market. So at the age of 61, I decided to enter that world. I went back to school, learned how to trade, and it afforded me this trip to Halifax, hence me being here. Day trader, yay! I am in Nova Scotia. I am here helping my nephew who attends university. I am paying his rent while he works in BC to get back to Halifax in September. So he's not worrying about finances. I am.
Frank Kirby takes a more lighthearted approach. He brings costume characters to life, creating fun and joy for those in his community.
Now, as a matter of fact, right, I did create a character called CJ the Bird in my 30s. It went on for 15 years and still goes today because I still have the energy at my age and the enthusiasm to get out there and do it. It's quite a character. It used to be for commercial use, but now I find that I use it for community radio fundraisers and charitable fundraisers. So I'm still active and being able to do that at 72. I did another character for years, Santa Claus. Funny, I had to get 2 costume characters. You have to be in good physical shape to do it at my age. I'm lucky.
Ho, ho, ho!
Merry Christmas, and hello to everybody at the IWK. Mrs. Claus and I are so sorry we can't be there in person this year for the big tree lighting celebration. But we wanted to make sure that everyone is as safe as can be. So I thought I'd reach out to you virtually just to say, stay strong, be safe, and listen to your parents and the people at the IWK. And thank you so much for your letters and messages to me and Mrs. Claus. And we hope to be back next year to Halifax to light the IWK tree in person. It's so amazing what you can do with technology these days. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you Christmas Eve.
I have done the IWK for over 40 years, and one story in particular stands out. A young fella who was a patient who came down to the foyer to meet Santa was terrified prior to that evening to even sit on Santa's lap. He would cry, kick, but that evening he came up, sat on my lap, laughed, carried on, told me what he wanted, gave Santa a big hug, and didn't even want to leave for the other kids to come see me. And the family was just ecstatic because he had never done that before.
Frank has thought a lot about wellness and aging, especially when it comes to the retirement years.
My bike, of course, been riding my bike for quite a while, and film work. I am a happy person, but a lot of people just, depend on external stimulation for happiness, and I think we tend to forget that happiness comes from within. You bring happiness to life. You don't look for happiness out of life, and I think if more people focused on that, and then of course with retirement and as you age, that gives you much more wisdom to carry on whatever you're dealing with, people, family.
Frank loves to share what he's learned with those who are approaching retirement, such as Terry Smith-Fraser, who will be retiring from her nursing career in the near future.
Well, I'll tell you, when I was in my 30s, I started playing basketball for the first time. And in my 40s, I played tackle football. So I played tackle football right up into my 50s when I started breaking bones, because osteoporosis is a real thing for us older ladies. So I had to tone down my exercise to a little less impact.
Wow.
But I'm going to keep on going as long as I can. I am the grandmother of my 9th granddaughter, will be born in the next week or two. They definitely keep me hopping and young.
And spend a lot more time with them after retirement, too, you can.
Yeah, absolutely, because not all of them live in this province, so that'll give me an opportunity to travel a little bit, too.
And I got 3 pieces of advice to people on retirement. Number 1, you got to decompress. Right now you're going 100 miles an hour, and I understand you're in healthcare, so you're going 200 miles an hour. So the situation there is you have to take time and just come down, to relax and decompress. Number 2 is find a passion that you'd like to follow and spend time thinking about it. Don't jump at the first thing. Decide what you'd like to do with all that free time you have now that will make you joyful, make you happy, take that inner happiness and spread it. And that's it. Decompression, taking time, and then picking your passion. And from that, that makes you healthy, right? That adds to a person's health when they're happy and doing something they love to do.
Thanks, Frank. I really could use some advice on retirement. I am so anxious to retire and have some free time to myself.
Yeah.
So it's really good to hear from somebody who's already retired and know what they're doing, and could pass on some of that wisdom to some of us young people who are just starting out into the retirement age.
Yeah. I talked to a couple people before I retired, and they said how boring it is. I wish I was back at work. It's just so boring, but they didn't take the time to decompress or decide what they want to do with their time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I already know what I want to do with my time, because like you, my passion is in film, so I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to be doing once I retire.
And I understand you just got a camper, so you can decompress for a while.
I will decompress, and I also love to travel, so once I'm done film work and retirement completely, I am just going to travel the world.
One of the things that happens for me and with other people that I've noticed is that there's a real settling, that people slow down, which is, if I had to give one instruction to myself or to you, it would be to slow down. Why? Because when we slow down, we notice more.
Judy Como was forced to slow down after a near-death experience. After settling in Nova Scotia, she had an epiphany and established Seaside Acapella.
For me, my epiphany came in 2014. I had a very near-death experience, and I was directing a super successful chorus in Ontario at that time. And when I was in the hospital and told that I had 3 months recovery, I thought, this is the sign. Now I need to retire. I need to step away. It's over. And I did. I did until 2017 rather, when we came to Nova Scotia, an area that is so filled with music, but nothing like the genre that we have, nothing like that. And I wanted to bring that to this area. So I did that, and I started all over again from scratch with brand new singers who knew nothing about it. I had to teach them how to sing, how to perform, how to wear stage makeup. We had to get costumes, everything, to put together what we have right now, which I am so very proud of. They're being groomed to be champions, and they're so well on their way to doing that.
When I'm back on top in June, that's life. Funny as it seems, some people get their kicks stepping on dreams, but I don't let it get me down.
Seaside Acapella is a women's acapella show chorus. It's not a choir. It's a show chorus. We never hold our music. We always sing in costumes and stage makeup and everything else as we would in a show. It's also an educational singing organization. So we offer an ongoing education to these women in how to sing better and how to perform better. Not individually, but in the ensemble. When I found this at a very young age, it changed my life. It showed me an arena in which I could grow as a human being, as a person, in confidence and in my personality and my social skills in every way, not just in music. And this is what I want to give, I strive to give to my members, is that kind of an arena. And at my age, I feel it's tremendously important to have a purpose. So the passion feeds the purpose, and the purpose feeds the passion.
The Japanese word ikigai means passion or reason for being. The 4 key components include what you love, what you're good at, what you get paid for, and what the world needs. Ikigai helps us focus our passion, our profession, our vocation, and find our mission in life. Focusing on being useful, finding delight in life, and following your passion helps us lead a full and comfortable life.
I work every day. You're sitting here in my office. I'm at this desk every single day doing work for this chorus. As I said, my passion for it feeds my purpose. And I think that's so important when you're 77 years old.
One of Judy's chorus members, Betty Rhodenizer, is celebrating over 90 years of pursuing her passions.
That's life. That's what people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May. Well, I got the name as Queen Betty when I turned 90 years of age.
And my Seaside Acapella gave me a wonderful surprise birthday party over at Jack's on King Street in Bridgewater. And it was just amazing. It was such a joyful time. And they treated me like a queen. Well, I've had a passion for singing for many years because I was in my church choir, and I was also the director for the services for both 35 years in all. My church is very important to me, probably the most important thing in my life. And I've been a member of the church for 63 years. For many years I have been very dedicated to genealogy in my life and assisting others to find their ancestry. I was a founding member of the South Shore Genealogical Society and the first president. And that was back in 1979 that that organization was founded. The work never fails to excite me. I love doing the research and to help others as well. I find that it keeps my mind active and also my physical being active as well, because we have through the society we went out recording cemeteries, and we published a couple of books. So it's been a real joy, and through doing genealogy I have published 2 books of my own, the one on the Rhodenizer family and also one on the Now family, which was my mother's side of the family. My collection of genealogy is so large that Salt Lake City wanted to digitize them. And so in 2018, they came in December of that year, and they left in March. That's how long it took them to digitize my records, and they didn't get them all. Wisdom, which is taught in my church, and that I feel is a big part of my health, having health and strength to carry on every day. Not that I haven't had a lot of trials and tribulations in my life, because I have, but my life certainly hasn't been perfect. But I learned from those experiences and those trials and tribulations to carry on and to learn to be happy. And just like in Seaside Acapella, the sisterhood in Seaside Acapella is just extraordinary. It keeps me young.
You age well when you reflect on what you love and embrace it with passion and joy. Generosity naturally flows from this approach.
What we could call offering. So when we're sensing what the other needs or requires, and what can we offer to that. And what do I need and require, and what offerings can I accept from my world? And that's really the quality of generosity.
80-year-old Virginia Bell saves, collects, and cherishes all that is vintage. She shares her passions, including 1,000 pairs of shoes bought and sold in Nova Scotia, with all those who enjoy our vintage past.
It got started in my grandmother's walk-in closet when I was a young 15-year-old in Montreal, and I wanted to go and see Pat Boone in his new movie called April Love. You had to be 16 to get into the theaters, so here we are talking about aging. That was my first experience with the aging process. I wanted to look older to get into the theater. My heart went pitter-patter all afternoon in the theater, and then our group decided we were going to go next weekend to Eaton's and all buy white buck shoes, which we did do. Natural fabrics, which way back then were so superior to what we see now. Silk, it was gossamer silk, it was mercerized cotton, butter soft linen, and wonderful wool back then. And also the workmanship and the garments was magnificent. Basically, I'm too busy to think about aging, and I have too many loves. I just love beauty, like the moonrise and flowers and nature and that, and I focus on that. I've always been one. I wake up in the morning to wonder at the greatness of it all, and I think that helps. I have three quotes that I just love. One is Jack Layton when he said, "Always have a dream that lasts longer than a lifetime." I think that is fantastic. You know, the concept is really great. And David Bowie said that aging is an extraordinary process because you become the person you always should have been. I like that one. And then Malcolm Muggeridge once spoke of his associate, and he said he was the arch advocate of exuberance and excess, and I think that could apply to me maybe a little. I just wanted to try Nova Scotia. I had lived in BC before, in Europe before that, and then BC, and I was just sort of footloose and fancy-free and wanted to try another area of living. I do a lot of cataloging and researching, but my activities involved, after I closed my store, I got involved in fundraising, and I did fashion shows for charity. All the things I did were for charity, and installments, exhibits. I worked with the two museums, co-curating some of their exhibits. Way back in the 80s, my husband and I went to New York, and we purchased 4 pairs of Imelda Marcus's shoes, which garnered us worldwide attention, media attention. Television stations, radio, all the newspapers, magazines, you name it. We were in it for about a week. We felt pretty swell about her. My husband and I went to Yarmouth, and there was a shoe store going out of business, so we purchased all the shoes from the 30s, 40s, and 50s for my then retail store. And it was we had to go back to Yarmouth another time to pick them all up. We packed our van full. Well, our father was in the jewelry business, and he gifted us with a lot of jewelry in growing up. As a matter of fact, I have a piece here. My parents gave it to me when I was 21. I wore it for 45 years and then lost it. And I just found it this winter when I was working on a room, cleaning up a room, and I found it in the back of a drawer. And I'm so thrilled. I never took it off the 45 years. And the costume jewelry, I did a lot of purchasing when I had my store from people. And it got to be so much that I started making mirrors, bejeweled mirrors. And I'm on mirror 26 now. I have a few more in my noggin to try to design, and then I think that'll be it. That's enough of that. When I do my exhibits, people, it evokes emotion, and people remember, and it sort of brings back a lot of memories, and it makes them feel sort of young at heart again, because it's things that from years ago when we all were young.
Linda Carvery is a singer, theatrical performer, and retired citizenship judge. She values the generosity others have shown her and shares her gratitude through song.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it
every night and day, spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. Now, if you and I believe we can fly, then who are we, you and I, to say we cannot fly? Whether we're 28, or let's turn that around, 82, and going on a new venture. The important thing, in my opinion, is that we fly and continue to fly. Now, that brings me to my 97-year-old mother. I can't leave her out of this at all. She resides in Northwood Manor, which in my opinion is like a little mini city. Very stimulating environment. So I go up there and see her one afternoon. I'm coming through the corridor. I hear all this music, and she's just a rocking in her chair, just a rocking in her comfortable chair, and singing and dancing in the chair. And I said, Mom, when did you start listening to country and western music? Well, she looked at me, got up off her chair, turned down the radio, put both hands on her hips, and said, a change is as good as a rest. And she hasn't had an easy life, relatively happy life though. She made sure it was, even though it wasn't easy. And I think what made it so was because she was such a gracious, easy to get along with, and grateful woman. And she expected better things to happen, and sure enough, they always did. They always did happen. And one time when I was about, maybe 9 or 10, and I was in a group called Explorers in church. A young woman came in who was unmarried, had no children, and had a good job. She came in and spoke with our minister's wife, and she said, Mrs. Oliver, do you have, a family in the midst here who would appreciate if I were to take one of their children under my wing? And because I was one of the explorers and a member of our church, and Mom, Mrs. Oliver chose her, and evidently I was the chosen young person in Explorers. So I had the good fortune and the blessing of having a fairy godmother from the age of 9, 10, right straight through my young adult life. So I had the opportunity as a kid to go to a play at Neptune Theater. And it would never have happened if I hadn't had this opportunity through this woman, because going to live theater was never part of my world, so it would never have happened. I already know that. I couldn't even tell you what the play was about, but it was called You Know I Can't Hear You When the Water's Running. And it was a comedy, that's all I know. And I was so enthralled by the piece that I believe that's what drew me to theater today. And so I'm really glad I had that opportunity to do just that. And, she also made it possible for me to be able to go to camp, because the church camps, Explorers Camp, CGIT Camp, you had to pay for those. If I hadn't had the assistance from this young woman, as a kid, I would not have been able to go. And I loved camps. You meet a lot of new people. A lot of the young girls there were from different church communities in Nova Scotia. I would never have met them. if it hadn't been for the camps, the church camps that I went to. So I still, I continue to know them and socialize with them periodically through that. And so I was really, really grateful to have those kind of experiences in my life.
Are you aging as well as you want to be? And if you're not, why not? And the other question I want to leave with you is, have you already visualized what aging looks like, aging well looks like for you? It's not going to be the same for me, I can tell you that, because we're not the same, and we don't have to age the same. Going back to singing, that's something that I really like to do. And I remember Sarah Vaughan. She said, here's what she said, and it really stuck with me. She said, when I sing, if I have troubles sitting on my shoulder, I don't even notice. And that's how I feel about singing. And we don't have to sing well. But the important thing, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, who am I, is that we're doing the things that give us joy, whatever that may be. And when I say to you, I believe I can fly, I'm talking to me. I am actually talking to me, however way that flying looks like. And it's not going to look the same for me, and it's not going to look the same for you. But what I want to say to you right at this time, to come to a conclusion, is that not only do I believe that we can fly, I think I've been around the bend enough times now to know that we can fly. I really do believe that. And that flying, like I said, is whichever way you see it. So let me end just by saying, I know we can fly. I know we can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread our wings and fly away. I believe we can soar. See us running through the open door. I believe we can fly.
Well, I think at the end of each forest walk, we gather in circle and say to ourselves or to the river or to each other, if there is any benefit that has come from our being together today, may that benefit be for the well-being of all of the beings of the land.
Make your bliss beautiful, oh, fortunate ones.
Thank you for joining us in our quest to change how we think about aging. And here are some final words from our experts.
But most importantly, follow your passions, right? When we work 9 to 5 for someone else and are committed to raising a family, you just put all that aside. But following a passion after retirement is the key for longevity, I'd say.
You age, you don't have to sit in a rocking chair and say, this is it, my life is over with. Get up, get going. Do some activities. Make yourself productive. If you want to bake a cookie, bake some cookies. If you want to go out and do some walking, do some walking. Walking is the best therapy that ever was given to any individual that is aging. enjoy the outdoors. Life is beautiful, but accept it that it is beautiful and put the hurdles behind you and go keep on trucking ahead.
A lot of my friends are younger than I am. Some of them are still in the single digits. And sometimes they're surprised to hear me say that this is the best time of my life. Way the best time. And yes, there are things I can't do that I used to be able to do, but that's fine. There are things I can do now that I couldn't do when I was younger.
Be considerate of others and be happy and eat lots of chocolate.
I have 3 words on my wall in my home: dream, savor, and believe. I am and always have been a dreamer. And what I'm doing now at this time in my life is a dream. The results I'm getting, the people that I'm having an opportunity to develop, I savor all of that. And I believe that everybody can dream and make dreams come true. And for me, in every sense of that word, that's life.
That's life. That's what people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May. But I know I'm gonna change that tune when I'm back on top in June. That's life. Funny as it seems, some people get their kicks stepping on dreams, but I don't let it get me down, 'cause this whole world keeps going around. I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn, and a queen. I've been up and down and over and out and all in between. Each time I find myself flat on my face, I pick myself up and get back in the race. That's life, I can't deny it. I thought of quitting, but my heart just won't buy it. If I didn't think it was worth a try, I'd roll myself up in a big ball and die.